Remember sneaking downstairs Christmas morning, the living room still dark except for the tree lights, trying to figure out which packages were yours? The 60s and 70s gave us toys that weren't just playthings. They were the center of our world. Today, we're counting down 40 Christmas toys from those decades that shaped how we played, and most of them have completely vanished from store shelves. Let's start with number 1. Lite-Brite. Hasbro's illuminated pegboard arrived for Christmas 1967 and stayed popular for years. Kids pushed colored pegs through black paper to create glowing pictures. The concept was brilliantly simple. Picture refill packs featured popular characters and designs. Creative kids ignored the templates and made original art. The warm glow in a dark room felt magical, almost alive. Losing specific colored pegs limited what you could create. Some kids discovered the pegs glowed briefly after you pulled them out. Group projects at sleepovers turned competitive. Parents vacuumed up stray pegs for years afterward. By the late 70s, video games had flashier graphics. But original Lite-Brite sets still work decades later. Modern LED versions exist, but lack the warm, incandescent quality. Those glowing creations decorated bedroom walls like badges of honor. Etch A Sketch. Ohio art company brought this mechanical drawing toy to America in 1960, and it instantly became a Christmas staple. The original French name was L'écran magique, the magic screen. 2 knobs controlled horizontal and vertical lines. Left knob moved left and right. Right knob moved up and down. The internal cursor scratched through aluminum powder on the back of the screen, creating gray lines. Getting those knobs to work together for curves took real skill. The aluminum powder smell when you shook it to erase was distinctive. Kids spent hours trying to draw perfect circles or stairs. Some artists got genuinely good, creating incredibly detailed pictures. The frustration of accidentally bumping it and ruining your masterpiece was real. By the 70s, Etch A Sketch had become a road trip essential. Compact, no batteries, endless entertainment. Modern versions exist, but the magic hasn't changed. Those knobs, that gray screen, the satisfaction of a perfect drawing. Slinky Dog. James Industries added this pull toy to their Slinky line in 1960. The dog's body was a slinky that wiggled as you pulled it along. The first versions had white paws and long, floppy ears. Kids raced them downstairs, watching the spring body cascade down each step. Some sets included smaller puppy versions. The metal slinky body tangled up sometimes, and you'd spend 20 minutes trying to fix it. The wooden head and tail pieces held up surprisingly well to years of abuse. By the late 70s, plastic versions appeared, but they didn't have the same weight and movement. Toy Story brought Slinky Dog back into the spotlight decades later, introducing him to a new generation. Original 1960s versions with the ears still attached are hard to find. Operation. Milton Bradley's nerve-wracking surgery game debuted in 1965 and became an instant Christmas hit. John Spinello, a college student, invented it as a class project. The concept was brilliant. Remove silly ailments from cavity, Sam using metal tweezers without touching the sides. Rider's cramp. Water on the knee. Butterflies in the stomach. The tension was incredible. Your hand hovering over the opening, trying to stay steady, knowing one wrong move would set off that buzzer. When you touched the sides, Sam's nose lit up red, and that buzzing sound made everyone laugh or groan. Operation tested hand-eye coordination and steady nerves. It turned surgery into entertainment. Family game nights got competitive. Who could remove the most pieces? Some people developed techniques, resting their elbow on the table for stability. Others went fast and reckless. That buzzing nose became one of the most recognizable sounds in board gaming. Operation proved that tension and humor made a perfect combination. Easy Bake Oven. Kenner's miniature oven hit Christmas wish lists hard in 1963. The genius was using 2 100-watt light bulbs as the heat source instead of dangerous heating elements. Hot enough to bake tiny cakes, safe enough for kids. Parents appreciated the safety consideration. Kids loved making real food with a toy. The oven came with mixes for cakes, cookies, and brownies. You'd mix the batter, pour it into a small pan, slide it into the oven, and wait. The light bulbs gave off real heat. Watching your cake bake through the little window was part of the magic. The cakes were small, but genuinely edible. Some tasted pretty good, others were questionable. Easy Bake taught patience and basic cooking skills. Multiple generations have now grown up with Easy Bake ovens. Modern versions still use the same basic concept. That warm smell of baking cake from a toy oven is a core childhood memory for millions. Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Mark's Toys introduced these battling robots in 1964, and they hit peak popularity around Christmas 1967. Two players controlled Red Rocker and Blue Bomber with simple controls. Land the right punch, and your opponent's head would pop up with a satisfying click. Game over. The simplicity was the genius. No complicated rules. Just keep punching until someone's block got knocked off. Kids developed elaborate strategies, mixing jabs and haymakers. Tournaments lasted for hours with championship belts made from construction paper. The robots were incredibly durable. Some families still have working sets from the 60s. Kids created backstories and rivalries for their robots. By the late 70s, electronic games offered more variety. But Rock'em Sock'em defined one-on-one competitive play for a generation. That popping sound when a head flew off was pure victory. Weebles. Playskool's egg-shaped figures arrived in 1971 with the catchiest slogan ever. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. The weighted bottom meant they always pop back upright no matter how hard you push them. The original circus set included performers and animals. Christmas expansions added haunted houses, tree houses, submarines. Kids loved making them dance and spin endlessly. The physics fascinated young minds. Why wouldn't they fall? Different sizes created whole Weeble families. Some kids tested them in bathtubs and discovered they floated. The plastic occasionally cracked and the weight beads would spill out, ruining the magic. Playsets featured clever mechanisms powered by Weeble movement. By decade's end, countless knockoffs had diluted the brand. Original 1970s Weebles still work perfectly. Modern versions lack the quality and character variety. That wobbling motion epitomized 70s toy ingenuity and simplicity. Simon. This electronic memory game exploded onto shelves in 1978. The colorful disc had 4 large buttons that lit up and played tones in increasingly complex sequences. Your job was to repeat the pattern exactly. Miss one, and you'd hear that buzzing failure sound. The simple concept was incredibly addictive. Launched at $24.95, Simon became the must-have toy of 1978 and the bestseller of 1979. The repeating lights and electronic beeps were hypnotic. We'd play until our eyes hurt from staring at those lights. Sleepovers turned into Simon tournaments. The longest sequences became bragging rights. Simon proved that electronics and simple gameplay could create something special. It paved the way for the electronic toy revolution of the 80s. The game required no reading, no complicated rules, just memory and concentration. That buzzing sound when you failed still triggers a little spike of disappointment. Barbie Dreamhouse. Mattel expanded Barbie's world in 1962 with her first house. The original was a foldable cardboard structure, but it opened up a whole new way to play. Instead of just dressing Barbie, you could now control her entire environment. The house came furnished with tiny furniture and accessories. Kids rearranged rooms constantly, redecorating based on mood. Barbie hosted dinner parties, rearranged her living room, invited friends over. The Dream House turned Barbie from a doll into a lifestyle. Christmas 1962 saw massive sales. Girls could finally create complete scenarios instead of just playing dress-up. Later versions got more elaborate with multiple floors, working elevators, even lights and sounds. But that first cardboard version started it all. The Dream House proved that environment mattered as much as the toy itself. Creating Barbie's world was as fun as playing with Barbie. Hot Wheels. Mattel launched these die-cast cars in 1968 to compete with British Matchbox cars. Elliot Handler wanted to create something American boys would go crazy for. The original line included 16 brilliantly colored hot rods with a distinctly American muscle car aesthetic. But the real innovation was the orange track. Those modular pieces let you build elaborate race courses with loops, jumps, and curves. The cars were designed with special wheels that actually rolled faster than the competition. Watching a Hot Wheels car shoot through a loop created a brief moment of pure excitement. Would it make it or fall? The metallic paint jobs looked incredible. Collecting different cars became an obsession. The track pieces were compatible with endless expansion sets. By the 70s, Hot Wheels had become a lifestyle. That orange track was everywhere. The sound of cars racing through plastic loops defined childhood. Vertibird. This one dominated wish lists in 1971. Mattel's battery-powered helicopter flew in circles attached to a central pole. You controlled the altitude and speed with 2 levers, and if you were good, you could pick up tiny astronauts with the working hook. The helicopter sounds were surprisingly realistic. Some sets came with obstacles to navigate around. The motor almost never broke, which was rare for toys back then. Kids spent entire afternoons perfecting their landing technique. Flying it in a dark room felt like a real rescue mission. At $15 in 1971, that's about $110 in today's money. Expensive, but it lasted. Mattel kept making different versions through 1977. Modern drones have more freedom, sure, but they don't have Vertibird reliability. Plenty of families still have working Vertibirds in their attics. Klackers. In 1969, every kid wanted these things under the tree. 2 hard acrylic balls on strings that you'd swing to make them clack together at top and bottom. Sounds simple, but getting them going took real skill. You'd start slow, building rhythm, and suddenly they'd be moving so fast your wrist blurred. The sound echoed down every school hallway that year. Kids competed to see who could keep them going longest or make the loudest noise. Some of us still have the bruises to prove we weren't very good at it. Teachers confiscated them by the dozen. Then came the recalls in 1971 when the balls started shattering, sending pieces flying. The safer versions they released after just felt wrong. Too light, too quiet. The original Clackers were dangerous, and that was half the appeal. Hugo, man of 1,000 faces. This one was genuinely creepy. Kenner released this puppet head in 1975, and it looked disturbingly realistic. The skin texture alone was enough to give you nightmares. But kids loved transforming him with the included wigs, scars, beards, and makeup. You could turn him into a pirate 1 minute, a monster the next. The glue-on facial hair actually stayed put pretty well. We put on puppet shows for hours, giving each Hugo character a different voice and personality. My neighbor's Hugo ended up bald and covered in marker because his little brother got creative. By 1977, he disappeared from stores. Action figures were taking over, and honestly, Hugo was just too weird for mainstream success. But for a couple years there, he was the strangest, most memorable toy under the tree. Major Matt Mason. Mattel released this bendable astronaut in 1966, right when America was obsessed with beating the Russians to the moon. Matt was a rubber figure with a wire skeleton inside, so you could pose him any way you wanted. His space gear looked like it came straight from NASA. As the space program heated up, Mattel kept adding to the line. Alien friends, moon bases, space stations. Christmas 1969 was peak Matt Mason. Neil Armstrong had just walked on the moon that July, and every kid wanted to recreate it. Matt's space crawler had suction cups that actually worked on windows. His jetpack really fired. The problem was those internal wires. After enough play, they'd snap, and Matt would be stuck in whatever position he died in. The line ended in 1971 when people stopped caring about space as much. But for those few years, Matt Mason let us believe we'd all be astronauts someday. Incredible edibles. Mattel's Thingmaker oven let kids create rubbery, edible creatures starting in 1966. You'd pour this thick, colored liquid called gobbledygook into metal molds, then bake it in a tiny oven that got seriously hot. Out came bugs, dinosaurs, flowers. They were stretchy, bouncy, and technically edible, though the taste was never the selling point. cherry and root beer flavors, but they all tasted vaguely like plastic. Parents worried about kids using something that reached 300 degrees. We'd mix colors to make tie-dye creatures. Some kids made jewelry and wore it before eating it later. The whole process felt scientific and creative at once. By 1972, safety regulations tightened up and the Thingmaker disappeared. The smell of heating gobbledygook was unforgettable, sweet and chemical at the same time. Ding-A-Lings. Topper Toys hit it big with these motorized robots in 1970. The basic concept was genius. Each robot had interchangeable parts, so you could mix and match to create your own mechanical creatures. Wind them up and they'd walk around, ring bells, perform little tasks. The original Ding-A-Ling answered your toy telephone. His friends included a fireman and a sheriff. The metallic paint made them look like they'd rolled off a real assembly line. Kids at school would trade parts like baseball cards. You'd show up with a robot that was half fireman, half sheriff, totally unique. They came with tiny accessories that got lost immediately. By 1971, Topper went bankrupt and these robots vanished. Finding a complete set today costs more than they did new. Flatsy Dolls. Ideal Toy Company took a completely different approach to dolls in 1969. Instead of three-dimensional figures, Flatsies were exactly what the name suggested. Flat, posable dolls with wire frames you could bend into different positions. They came with stands, so you could display them like little pictures. The original dolls had names like Gwen, Nancy, and Bonnie, all dressed in mod 60s fashions. The clothes were printed right on the vinyl with fabric pieces glued on top. Girls loved that they fit in lunchboxes and took up hardly any space. The playsets were all cardboard, but they were detailed enough to create whole worlds. Later versions added cars and houses, all in that distinctive flat style. Storage was easy since they stacked like books. But by 1973, Barbie had won the doll wars and Flatsies couldn't compete. Their flat design made them unique, but it also meant they felt less real than traditional dolls. Dawn dolls. When Topper Toys launched these 6-inch fashion dolls in 1970, they were gunning for Barbie. Dawn had more realistic proportions and a massive wardrobe. The small size meant everything cost less than Barbie's stuff, which parents appreciated. Each doll had a distinct personality. Dawn's friends included Dale, a blonde, and Van, who was black. Having diverse dolls wasn't common back then. The apartment sets and cars were perfectly scaled. Christmas 1971 was Dawn's peak year. Topper released dancing versions and a modeling agency playset. Girls loved that all the dolls could share clothes. The head-turning feature let them look to the side, which seemed incredibly sophisticated. But quality control was terrible. Arms fell off constantly. When Topper went bankrupt in 1973, Dawn's fashion career ended abruptly. Today's mini dolls owe everything to Dawn's approach. Which Milton Bradley released this spooky board game in 1970, and it was perfect for kids who love suspense. Players moved around a haunted house, trying to reach the end, while a whammy ball dropped through chimneys. If it hit your mouse piece, you got turned back. The cardboard house in the center was beautifully illustrated with witches and ghosts. Setup took forever because of all the small pieces. Games stretched on for hours if the marble kept landing on the same players. The whammy ball added extra danger on certain spaces. Smart kids memorized which chimneys were safest, though luck still played a big part. Pieces got lost constantly, especially those tiny mice. By the mid-70s, electronic games were starting to take over. Original complete sets are expensive now because so few survived intact. Pocket rockers. Before the Walkman changed everything, Tiger Electronics tried these miniature music players in 1978. They were about the size of a cigarette pack and played tiny cassettes with 2 songs each. The built-in speaker meant no headphones required. Christmas 1979 saw massive sales. Kids collected different tapes with current hits. Blondie, The Cars, The Village People. The sound quality was awful, tinny and flat, but you could clip it to your belt and show everyone what music you liked. Batteries died fast, and replacements got expensive. Some kids figure out how to record custom tapes. though the quality was even worse. By 1981, better portable players had arrived. But for a brief moment, pocket rockers made music truly portable for kids. Big Jim, Mattel's answer to G.I. Joe, arrived for Christmas 1972 with a unique feature. Press a button on his back, and his arm would chop down in a karate motion. Big Jim was muscular in a way that made other action figures look wimpy. His bicep actually flexed when you bent his arm. The Adventure Team, called PACK, included different characters with different skills. Vehicles and playsets filled toy aisles. The Kung Fu Training Center was particularly elaborate. Olympic versions came out in 1972 to capitalize on the Munich Games. The rubber band mechanism inside broke pretty easily with rough play. By 1976, Star Wars figures had arrived, and Big Jim seemed outdated. But that karate chop action was pure 70s toy engineering. Simple, mechanical, satisfying. Baby Tenderlove. Mattel revolutionized baby dolls when they released this one for Christmas 1969. She looked and felt like a real newborn. Soft vinyl skin that gave when you squeezed it. Rooted hair you could wash in style. The doll came in different ethnicities, which was still rare. Her bottle would empty when you fed her, and some versions had moving eyes. Girls pushed these dolls around in carriages like they were real babies. At 16 inches, she was the right size for little arms to carry comfortably. Hospital nursery playsets let kids pretend to be doctors. Production quality varied wildly. Some dolls stayed soft for years, others turned hard within months. By 1974, newer baby dolls had more features. Original African-American versions are especially valuable to collectors now. Baby Tender Love set the standard for realistic baby dolls. Chip Away. This archaeological toy let kids play scientists starting in 1970. You get a block of plaster with something hidden inside, then carefully chisel it out with the included tools. The kit came with safety goggles, a hammer, and a chisel. Finding the hidden treasures felt like a real discovery. Some blocks had dinosaur skeletons, others had ancient artifacts. The King Tut exhibition had everyone obsessed with archaeology. Patient kids could extract delicate pieces without breaking them. Impatient kids would just smash everything and end up with fragments. The plaster dust got absolutely everywhere. Parents found it in carpet fibers for months. Christmas morning excavations kept kids occupied for hours. By 1973, the cleanup hassle outweighed the fun for many parents. Refill blocks became hard to find. Modern dig kits use softer, less messy materials, but they don't feel as authentic. Toss Across. Ideal's beanbag tic-tac-toe game arrived in 1969 and became a summer and Christmas staple. The game had 9 targets that flipped between X and O when you hit them with beanbags. Teams competed to get 3 in a row. When a bag hit just right, the target would spin with a satisfying thwack. Indoor and outdoor versions meant you could play year-round. Kids developed trick shots and invented their own rules. Family reunions turned into tournaments. Sometimes the targets would stick, and you'd have to flip them manually. Lost bean bags meant improvising with rolled-up socks. By the mid-70s, video games offered faster entertainment. Original sets with working spinners are hard to find. Toss Across proved that simple concepts create lasting fun. That spinning sound when you nail the target perfectly is still satisfying to think about. Kenner's SSP Racers. Supersonic Power Racers arrived for Christmas 1970 with a completely different approach to toy cars. Instead of batteries, they used a T-stick ripcord to spin up an internal gyroscope. The sound they made while charging up was incredible. A high-pitched whine that built anticipation. Once you let them go, they'd run for a surprisingly long time. Some could jump ramps or even climb walls briefly. Crashes at full speed sent pieces flying, but that was part of the fun. The smash-up derby sets had cars that lost body panels strategically when they hit each other. Different models included motorcycles and wild custom designs. Ripcords wore out and broke, and finding replacements was impossible. By 1978, electronic toys had taken over. But SSP Racers proved mechanical power could be just as exciting as batteries. Johnny Lightning Cars. Topper Toys launched these die-cast cars for Christmas 1969 to compete with Hot Wheels. They claimed to be the fastest miniature cars ever made, and the wheel design actually did make them quicker. Each car came with a curved track piece, so you could keep building bigger layouts. The custom series let kids design their own paint schemes with included decals. Some rare models sell for thousands today. We'd stage elaborate races with homemade ramps and obstacles. The cars had enough weight to make crashes spectacular. Quality varied between production runs. Some cars were perfect, others had wheels that barely spun. When Topper went bankrupt in 1971, Johnny Lightning disappeared. Modern reissues exist, but they lack the original speed and detail. For 2 years, Johnny Lightning actually outran the competition. Spirograph, Kenner's geometric drawing tool, became the surprise hit of Christmas 1967. Plastic gears and rings created mathematical patterns that looked impossibly intricate. Kids spent hours discovering new combinations, layering colors to create complex designs. The original set included colored pens and thick instruction books. With patience, you could create museum-quality geometric art. Some teachers used them for math lessons, showing how art and numbers connected. The trick was keeping the gears from slipping. One wrong move, and you'd have a line cutting through your masterpiece. Lost pieces made certain patterns impossible to recreate. The plastic had a distinctive smell that meant Christmas morning to thousands of kids. By 1975, enthusiasm cooled as video games emerged. Modern versions exist, but use cheaper materials. Those spiral patterns covered countless bedroom walls and school notebook covers. Spirograph proved that math could be beautiful. Strange Change Machine. Mattel's 1968 Time Machine toy was pure magic. You put a plastic cube in the electric heating chamber, and as it heated up, a creature would slowly emerge. Dinosaurs, insects, prehistoric mammals. Then you'd use the compression chamber to squash them back into cubes. Watching the transformation was mesmerizing. The machine took time to work, so you had to be patient. Christmas sets included rare creatures and Lost World playsets. The machine got hot enough to worry parents. Kids would mix pieces from different cubes to create mutant creatures, half T-Rex and half beetle. The plastic smell filled entire rooms during transformation sessions. Some creatures never quite went back to perfect cube shapes. By 1970, safety concerns ended production. Finding a working machine with original creatures is nearly impossible now. Modern transformation toys use different mechanisms, none as magical as heat and pressure, turning solid cubes into detailed figures. Evel Knievel Stunt Cycle. Ideal captured lightning in a bottle with this 1973 toy. The famous Daredevil became an action figure with a gyroscope-powered motorcycle that could jump incredible distances. Christmas morning meant setting up elaborate ramps throughout the house. You'd crank the Energizer to build up power, then release and watch Evel fly. The figure stayed on through crashes that would have killed a real person. Additional sets included cars to jump over and canyons to clear. Kids competed for distance records. Some modified ramps to see how high they could launch him. The sturdy construction survived countless wipeouts. By 1977, Evel's popularity had faded after some real-life stunt failures. Complete sets with all accessories are rare. Modern stunt toys require batteries and break easily. The wind-up anticipation before each launch was half the fun. You never knew if Evel would stick the landing or go tumbling through the air. Pet Rock. In 1975, advertising executive Gary Dahl turned a joke into millions of dollars. He packaged ordinary rocks in cardboard boxes with air holes and included a training manual. Parents found it hilarious. Kids found it absurd but weirdly appealing. Pet rocks became a national craze. The manual had instructions for teaching your rock to stay, roll over, and play dead. The joke was that your rock already did all these things. For a few months that Christmas, rocks were the hottest gift in America. Millions sold at $3.95 each. The fad died quickly once the novelty wore off. But Pet Rock proved that smart marketing and perfect timing could sell literally anything. Opening that box, seeing a regular rock sitting ceremoniously on a bed of straw, reading the deadpan manual. It was comedy genius. Gary Doll made over $1 million and created one of the most memorable toy fads in history. $6 Million Man, Colonel Steve Austin, arrived as an action figure in 1975 with features that seemed like genuine spy technology. The bionic "I was the killer" feature. You could look through a hole in the back of his head, and everything appeared magnified through his eye lens. Suddenly, your bedroom became a reconnaissance mission. His bionic arm clicked when you raised it, just like in the TV show. The red tracksuit and perfect hair matched Lee Majors exactly. Kids spent hours using Steve's bionic vision to scan for enemies. The closet became a hostile base. Under the bed was a secret tunnel. Steve Austin made you feel like you had real spy equipment. Sometimes he'd team up with other action figures on elaborate missions. That clicking bionic arm sound was iconic. The $6 Million Man proved that one unique feature could make an action figure legendary. Star Wars early bird certificate. In 1977, Star Wars became the biggest movie ever, and Kenner had the toy rights. But they weren't ready for Christmas. Stores would be empty of Star Wars toys during the biggest shopping season. Their solution was genius and desperate. The early bird certificate package. An empty box with a certificate you'd mail to Kenner. In return, you'd eventually receive the first 4 action figures: Luke, Leia, Chewbacca, and R2-D2. Kids opened empty boxes on Christmas morning. Some were disappointed. Others understood they were getting something special eventually. By 1978, the figures arrived and additional toys flooded stores. The 3.75-inch scale became the industry standard. Having those figures meant you could recreate the entire movie in your bedroom. The Millennium Falcon playset was massive with working ramps and sounds. That empty box with a promise became one of the most valuable collectibles in toy history. Chatter telephone. Fisher-Price introduced this pull toy phone in 1961. It became a staple of early childhood. The bright, smiling face, the wheels that let you pull it around, the dial that clicked, the bell that rang. Everything about it was designed for small hands. Originally wood, later plastic. The simple design captured how kids actually played. They pretend to have important conversations while dragging their phone friend around the house. The rotary dial clicked with each number. The bell rang when you pulled it. The eyes moved back and forth. Chatter telephone taught kids about phones before they understood what phones actually did. It encouraged imaginative play and motor skill development. Multiple generations have played with essentially the same design. That's how good it was from the start. The Chatter telephone remains in production today. That friendly smiling face and ringing bell defined early childhood play. Nerf. Parker Brothers introduced the world's first official indoor ball in 1970. Nerf stood for non-expanding recreational foam. The concept solved a problem parents didn't know they needed solved. Kids could throw balls in the house without breaking anything. The original Nerf ball was soft, lightweight, and bounced unpredictably. Over 4 million sold in the first year. The Nerf football eventually became the best-selling item in the line. That soft foam meant you could throw it as hard as possible indoors without fear. We'd play catch in the living room while parents watched TV. Nerf balls flew through the house all day. The foam absorbed impact. Windows stayed intact. Lamps survived. Nerf expanded into other sports and toys. But that original ball was revolutionary. It turned the indoors into a playground. That slightly rough foam texture and the lightweight made Nerf balls feel like nothing else. Mego Superheroes. In the early 70s, Mego became the king of action figures by doing something unprecedented. They secured licensing rights to both Marvel and DC characters. Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Captain America, all in the same toy line. Kids could finally stage the crossover battles they'd always imagined. The 8-inch figures had cloth costumes and multiple points of articulation. The world's greatest superheroes line launched around 1972 and dominated Christmas wish lists. Each figure came in window boxes that displayed them perfectly. The attention to detail was impressive for the time. Later editions included Star Trek, Planet of the Apes, and other properties. Mego created entire universes of play. Kids mixed heroes and villains from different companies, creating elaborate storylines. By the late 70s, smaller figures like Star Wars toys had changed the market. But Mego's brief reign gave us some of the most beloved action figures ever made. Lego. The Danish company had been making toys since the 1930s, but the interlocking plastic bricks launched in 1949 changed everything. By the late 60s, Lego had conquered the world. The genius was in the simplicity. Just stack and build. Anything you could imagine was possible. Simple towers, complex cities, vehicles, buildings. The same bricks could be taken apart and rebuilt into something completely new. By 1969, Lego was dominating Christmas wish lists. Sets had expanded to include themed builds. The bricks from a 1960s set still connected perfectly with 1979 sets. That compatibility was revolutionary. Lego encouraged creativity, spatial reasoning, and patience. Some kids followed instructions precisely. Others dumped everything into a pile and built whatever came to mind. Stepping on a Lego in bare feet became a universal experience. Lego proved that open-ended toys had lasting power. Decades later, adults still play with Lego. Skateboard with urethane wheels. Skateboarding existed in the 50s and 60s, but the invention of urethane wheels in the early 70s changed everything. Suddenly, skateboards were smoother, faster, and could handle rough surfaces. This innovation sparked a massive boom. By the mid-70s, skateboards were selling out every Christmas. The wheels gripped better, allowing for sharper turns and more complex tricks. Skateboarding went from a toy to a legitimate sport and mode of transportation. Kids developed their own styles. Some focused on speed, others on tricks. The sound of urethane wheels on pavement became the soundtrack of suburban neighborhoods. Parents worried about safety. Kids didn't care. That feeling of gliding smoothly down a hill, the wind in your face, the slight hum of the wheels, that was freedom. Skateboarding became youth culture. The urethane wheel innovation made it all possible. Slip and slide. Whammo brought this backyard toy to summer and Christmas wish lists in 1961. The origin story involved a father seeing his son sliding dangerously on wet pavement. Robert Carrier created a long plastic sheet designed to be wetted and slid across. Place it on grass, turn on the hose, and you had an instant water park. Running full speed, jumping on, and sliding as far as possible was pure summer joy. The plastic got slippery fast, sometimes too slippery. You'd overshoot and end up in the grass. The water spray along the sides kept it wet. Slip and slides turned ordinary backyards into entertainment zones. Some kids got creative, adding soap for extra slip or setting up multiple lanes for races. The plastic wore out eventually, developing holes and tears. But for a few summers, each one provided countless hours of fun. That moment of hitting the wet plastic and feeling yourself accelerate was thrilling every time. Atari 2600. Released in 1977 as the video computer system, the Atari 2600 revolutionized Christmas wish lists. At $178.95, it was expensive, but brought arcade gaming home. The wood grain front made it look sophisticated enough for the living room. Parents hoped it didn't look too much like a toy. The revolutionary feature was swappable game cartridges. You weren't stuck with built-in games like previous consoles. The library could grow. The joystick was simple. One stick, one red button. That was it. But games like Space Invaders, Pong, and Pac-Man kept families glued to the TV for hours. The blocky graphics seemed incredibly realistic at the time. We didn't notice the limitations. Our imaginations filled in the details. Sweaty hands during intense competitions. The whole family taking turns. High scores written down on paper. The Atari 2600 wasn't just a toy. It was the beginning of home gaming culture. That simple joystick click and the startup screen created anticipation like nothing else. Shrinky Dinks. These thin plastic sheets arrived in 1973 and felt like actual magic. You'd color designs on the plastic, cut them out, then bake them in the oven. The heat made them shrink to a fraction of their size, while thickening and hardening. The transformation was mesmerizing. You'd watch through the oven window as the plastic curled up, twisted around, then suddenly flattened into a tiny, thick piece. Kids made keychains, jewelry, and decorations. The plastic came with pre-printed designs, but blank sheets let you create anything. Parents appreciated that it encouraged creativity. Kids loved the science experiment aspect. How did it work? Why did it shrink? The plastic had a distinctive smell when baking. Not unpleasant, just unique. Shrinky Dinks turned the kitchen into an art studio. That moment when the plastic finished shrinking and you could pull out your creation was pure satisfaction. Christmas craft projects lasted for hours. G.I. Joe with Kung Fu grip. Hasbro launched G.I. Joe in 1964, coining the term action figure to avoid calling it a doll. Joe was a soldier, ready for adventure and combat. The original 12-inch figure came with realistic military gear and vehicles. His posable design, with the internal wireframe, let kids create any scene they could imagine. Christmas 1964 saw G.I. Joe dominate boys' wish lists. By 1974, Hasbro added the Kung Fu grip, and it changed everything. Instead of hard plastic hands, Joe now had soft rubber hands that could actually grip objects. Weapons, ropes, tools. His hands squeezed around them and held tight. This feature felt revolutionary. Suddenly, Joe could hold on to things during helicopter rescues or rope swings. The level of play became more realistic. G.I. Joe represented courage and adventure. He went on missions behind enemy lines, explored jungles, commanded troops. The extensive line of accessories and vehicles meant you could build an entire military world. That Kung Fu grip became the standard. Once you had it, regular action figures felt limited. Now, which of these 40 toys takes you right back to Christmas morning? Maybe you're remembering the specific wrapping paper, or the moment you realized what was inside. These weren't just toys. They were the center of our childhood universe. The ones we begged for, the ones we treasured, the ones that shaped how we played and what we imagined. If this brought back memories, hit that like button. And subscribe, because we've got more nostalgia coming your way. Thanks for taking this trip back to the greatest toy era ever.